The Back Show with Tommy and Tina on IQ Podcasts at Attorney King Studios here in beautiful Coronado, California. Today, our guest is Lisa Hiering from Side by Side Solutions in Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome today, Lisa.
Thank you, Tom. I'm really happy to be here.
Yes, and we're interested since we like to help promote people taking their lives back and rebuilding themselves after some type of traumatic situation, whether it's in the military, public safety, or in just general life. Those people learn to adjust, adapt, and overcome, and look for different solutions and other people to follow to become successful, because we all have that potential within us. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the show today.
And we are so happy to have you here with us.
I had my do not disturb on. Apologies.
No,
Oh, that's okay. It's live, so we go through all that stuff.
Okay.
it's good.
I put it on do not disturb, but I don't know. That came through, so I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
yes,
okay.
that is a topic that I'm really, really passionate about. So I'm happy to be talking about it with you.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and about your side-by-side solutions?
Okay, so I'm a Marine mom. I'm a retired Social Security claims specialist. So I worked for the Social Security Administration, helping people do a lot of things. I was a generalist there, so I was trained on everything. But the majority of what I did was Social Security disability claims. So it was my job there to help people file the best possible claim. So in terms of the topic of conversation, I ended up in my work in the government, I ended up not related to the government, but I ended up having an accident, a very bad pedestrian accident. And I'm the type of person that I'm pretty determined, and I kept working after that. I shouldn't have, my doctors told me I shouldn't have, but I just kind of have that push through mentality. So I kept working. But then I had 2 more accidents, and finally it was the third one that put me out of being able to work. And I actually had to file for Social Security disability myself. So there I was sitting on the other side of the desk, so to speak. But that's kind of where I came to in terms of not working for Social Security anymore.
And you help people who are suffering with PTSD and other injuries navigate the system and
Yes.
and file for Social Security disability.
Yes.
Other benefits or?
Yep. My focus and passion is veterans, also first responders, military spouses. I have a lot of respect for them as well. And I do help some active duty who are transitioning out of the military for medical reasons. It's not that I can't help a civilian, I can, but that's not really where my focus is. So I think really those, in particular, those groups, first responders really helped save my life when I had the accident. So I feel very indebted to them. In terms of veterans, obviously my son's service, but I ended up with a TBI and PTSD from that accident and some other issues as well. And because of that, the group of people that I ended up feeling most comfortable with, and the group that really kind of supported me, welcomed me in, was veterans. So I feel very at home with veterans. I don't get judgment about my PTSD or TBI, and I'm immensely grateful to them for that. So that's kind of where the passion piece of it comes.
Yeah,
so yes,
great.
I take all of my knowledge that I got when I worked at Social Security. And in addition to that, I've educated myself since then, because I don't know, this is something that most people don't really know, but Social Security actually doesn't make the decision. They help people file the claim. They have the rules. They kind of sort of manage the claim a little bit. And of course, they're the ones that you get the letters from about whether you've been approved or denied. But it's actually the state agency in everybody's state who makes the decision. So when I left Social Security, I also educated myself on that piece of things so that I'd have a really holistic, view of what was going on. But when I worked at Social Security, I had the very unfortunate job of being the person who sent out those denial letters. And that really, really bothered me. And my fear was actually that, I'd be sending one of those kinds of letters to a veteran, and that would be the last straw. And maybe a veteran even kills themselves when they get that news. So I started looking at these claims, and especially the claims where, let's say, a veteran had 100% permanent and total, rating at the VA, or unemployability, individual unemployability, or they were 100% service connected post 9/11. All of those folks get expedited claim processing with Social Security. So I saw them getting denied a lot. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. These are some of the most disabled people. Why are they getting denied? And I started getting investigative. Let's just say that, what was happening. And when I understood why a lot of them were getting denied, I thought to myself, this is crazy, because this is preventable. Many of these are preventable. So I use that knowledge now, what I learned about that, when I'm helping, and particularly this category of veterans, the ones that are going to get that fast processing.
Did you find it to be a clerical error on the state side that was causing
No.
the rejections, or what was it?
No, it was largely a function. Let's just assume, because I did in a lot of these cases, that they would meet Social Security's criteria, which, by the way, is different from the VA. And that's a major point that veterans need to understand.
Right.
It's not the same as the VA. So let's assume that it's veteran that would otherwise meet the criteria. What I very often saw was that the process to get this individual's medical evidence is a very poor process. So what I often saw was medical evidence didn't make it into the file. Only some of the medical evidence made it into the file. It made it in, but it made it in too late, because keep in mind, these are people with a very fast decision. And this could be any person, not even just a veteran. There's so much medical evidence, and it's not sorted, it's not organized. Nobody's taking out the stuff that is irrelevant. They're just sending it over en masse, if you will. And in reality, the people that work at the state agencies are very overworked and inundated with claims, and simply don't really have the time to look at everything. So, they're going to do their best, but they're likely to miss stuff because it's buried. So I teach my clients, this is what constitutes good evidence. This is how to put it together. This is how to make sure it gets where it needs to go, because that is a huge reason why people get denied.
It's interesting because I was permanently disabled in the line of duty in public safety.
Yes,
And
sir.
10 years ago, my retirement board, which was through the state, had cut my health insurance, and I was told to apply for Social Security disability to get under the Medicare. And also they wanted it because whatever Social Security would pay me offset what they paid out of their pension, and it saved them money. Well, I was denied. And when I was denied, I had no medical care. I had it. I couldn't understand how I was denied. So I had to go through the appeal process.
Yep.
And it went on to actually the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in San Diego here.
Oh, wow. You went all the way up.
I went all the way. Well, my attorney said, we're going to go right to federal appeals. And I won. And so they had to reimburse me and then pay off my medical. I had 2 years of medical bills I had to go back and pay.
Yeah.
And it was a really terrible process. And I didn't know that it was the state. I thought it was the federal government, some bureaucrat in Washington or Kansas City or someplace checking a box, and it wasn't checked right, because the VA will do that. If you go in for a claim and something's marked wrong, they will just deny your claim.
Yeah.
So that's
it's not really like that. And it's the state making the decision, the first two levels. So your initial claim, and my goal is always with my clients to try to get them approved the very first time they try, right? Not to have to go through the appeal process. I mean, as a disabled person and as a person who very much cares about this group of people or these groups of people, the last thing I want to see is for them to have to go through appeals. Many of them have been fighting the VA forever. And, you know, I want to make this as painless as I possibly can. As a disabled person, you know, I didn't want to have to go through a whole lot of appeals. I got approved the first time. You know, that was partly a function of, I knew what I was doing, certainly, partly a function of the fact that I do meet the criteria, and partly a function of something else, which is there's a couple of factors as well that people maybe don't realize. And that is that it is a little bit easier to get it when you're 50 and up, because you're considered unretrainable. Which I'm laughing because I'm way older than that and I consider myself retrainable. But,
I think we all are.
But and also your education plays a part in that. So anybody that has, I mean, it's just common sense. If you have a high school education, you don't have a college degree, the pool of jobs that they can look at as possibilities for you, even with your conditions, becomes a lot smaller. So it actually works to people's advantage if they are, you know, not college educated and if they are 50 and up. But that doesn't mean at all that it's impossible for younger people or younger people with a college education to get the benefits.
Right.
So
you work a lot with, you said military vets, first responders. Now, you did mention something about ones that are transitioning.
Yes.
How do they get a hold of you and where do they find you? Because I know with the VA, you know, you have to have everything documented before you're discharged, and all that ends up on your DD 214. So how is it they get a hold of you that way?
Well, in terms of, and whenever you want me to give my actual contact information, if that's now, I'm happy to do that.
No.
We'll do that at the end.
But
yeah. Well, actually, I get those folks. I think I understand your question better. Okay, so those folks get a hold of me because I have some connections. People have found out about me. You know, I attend VA community council meetings here in Jacksonville. For example, I have a connection up in the Warrior Transition Unit in Georgia on the base there. And so she will refer people to me. Now, active duty folks, it has to be a situation where they've got disabling conditions. They are getting paid, obviously, but they're not actually working.
Right.
So it's okay that they're getting paid, but they have to not be engaging in work. So they, you know, check in, check out, that type of thing, which is typical when somebody's being, you know, med boarded out or something like that.
Right.
So, yeah. So I do work with those folks too, because they absolutely can file and they should file. So anybody, just to be clear, anybody that either hasn't been working or anticipates, reasonably expects that they're not going to be able to work for a minimum of a year should file for Social Security disability. You know, if the reason they're not working is because they're disabled, they should file. So you're not saying to Social Security, I promise you I'm going to be disabled for the rest of my life. You're simply saying, look, for a minimum of a year, I think either I'm not going to be able to work at all, or my work is going to be severely restricted. There's a dollar, you know, threshold for that. And that's all you're saying. So, and if you don't mind, that leads me to coming back to your original, you know, statement. Many people who get Social Security disability do end up going back to work in some form or another. So whether that's doubtful back
right here.
whether that's back to their old job, you know, which is unlikely, but sometimes, or something else that they're able to do, or entrepreneurship, which is just my jam, because I'm so excited to be able to tell my clients, listen, right now we're going to focus on getting your benefits. That's a number one. You get your financial stability, you get your treatment that you need. And this is the goal right now. This is the mission. But down the line, I just want to plant in your head that even though you find yourself in this really, really terrible situation right now, right? Tom, you know, your identity is just gone, right?
Right.
You lose
Absolutely
your job.
gone.
You don't have your identity. You are perhaps ashamed or depressed, or what, you know, you can't take care of your family, health insurance struggles. You know, it's just, it is hard. It is super, super hard to be in that situation. And I always try with my clients to start off our conversation acknowledging that, because it's important that you know, that they feel like somebody gets it, somebody understands. And I can genuinely say that because I've been there. I was severely depressed when I lost my job, you know?
Yeah, I
But
think a lot of us go through that,
Right.
yeah, but I
if
try
not
to
all.
encourage them by telling them basically kind of my story, which is, look, I went through this, you know, similar thing, not the same, but similar, where I had a job that I really loved, that felt like I was useful and of service every day when I got up. And I lost that job due to disability. But once I managed to kind of regroup, as you put it, right? Or military, it's a reset. So once I managed to do that and try to start putting my life back together, I discovered something amazing, which is you can be quite disabled and still be incredibly useful and of great service to other people. And we need to rethink disability. You know, we kind
Absolutely.
of think people are disabled, oh, they're kind of good for nothing much. And that really couldn't be further from the truth. Now, I will never go back to a regular type of job. I can't. I'm sitting here now, but it's very challenging for me to sit for long periods of time.
Right.
And all of that. So, but what I can do is I can actually do my job helping people with this from my recliner using my phone, because we now have incredible technology. And I'm, you know, full disclosure, I'm going to be 64 in a couple weeks. I started this as a business. I was doing it volunteer, but I started it as a business at age 62. So I tell my clients, if I, with some of the same disabilities you have, and I'm way older than you, and I don't even probably have half the skill sets that you do, if I can do this and make meaning out of my life and serve other people and make a difference in other people's lives, you can too. You can too. So
I totally agree with you on that, and that's a good example. My birthday was just a few days ago, and I turned 68. I know I look 32, but I'm
well,
68.
you do, sir, you know.
Thank you. And I too, I'm a best-selling author, screenwriter. I have the show. I'm working in the entertainment business, and I've done it all within the last 5 years.
That's
So
awesome. That's
and
awesome.
I cannot work for somebody ever again, especially after having a career in public safety. It just didn't fit.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, he's ruined forever.
I'm ruined forever, and I knew I could be my own person with my own business and my own contribution back to society, and I can't be any more happier than how it's all played out. And I see that in anybody that's disabled. Some of the most impressive people I've met have been disabled and come
Yes.
back.
Yes, agree. I
Yeah.
absolutely agree. And what I'm doing now is I'm in the process of, I do one-on-one consultations, but you know, I'm
Mhm.
limited. I'm disabled. I'm one person. There's only so many hours in the day. So
Right.
what I've been working on and what I plan on doing, and I'm hoping I'm going to launch it this year, is I'm creating a course starting with veterans. I'm going to expand that to other groups, but starting with veterans, an actual course for them to navigate the SSDI process. And I'm launching it on a fairly new platform that I'm super excited about. But I'm in conversation with a veteran right now, and anybody else I can get a hold of, and I may talk to you later, about having a community, if you will, of people who totally get it and have done this, have recreated their lives. Because I would like nothing more than to say to my clients, when you're ready, right? I'm gonna check back with you after you get your benefits. Or maybe you're so excited about this right now, you don't even want to use my services and file for Social Security. I'm totally good with that. Because it's always better to be able to work, right?
Oh,
Always.
absolutely.
So, I'd like to put something together where I really have a team of people that are interested in helping folks who are at the beginning of that process, who really don't know how to think about the fact that they're disabled, and what do they do with that, and what are their options, So you and I might have to talk.
Okay.
I think we're all going to have to talk. I'm very involved with a few veterans myself. So
Great team.
definitely, it's a great opportunity to get the word out. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have to give people hope. You
Yeah.
have to. I mean, I hope this doesn't sound too lofty. I'm in the business of helping people very specifically navigate the SSDI process. Thank God I have that expertise. But what I'm really in the business of, in terms of my heart for it, is suicide prevention.
Absolutely.
Because people have to have hope, and they have to believe that they have options, and that things can get better, and that, another human being sees them, hears them, going to support them. I had people in my life when things were just, this is prior to my accident, where things were just super tough for me and my kids. And I had people come alongside me and help me navigate systems that I really was lost in doing. And so that's another reason I do what I do, because if I've got the knowledge and I can share it with somebody else and help them navigate it and make it less stressful, that just makes me happy. So.
It warms my heart that you focus on veterans, because I know they're used to being in a group of people and having a mission. And when they separate, all those things that happened to them when they were deployed and at war, and just in the military in general, it all comes back. And when they're separated from their buddies, it's hard. It's definitely hard. So I applaud you. Absolutely.
Thanks.
1,000,000,000%.
I love what I do. I absolutely love it. And I always say to people, my clients will say, I'm really helping them. Honestly, they're helping me, because this is what gives my life purpose. I was really lost when I couldn't work anymore. And obviously I love my job, because I'm still trying to do it. But they give as much to me, if not more, because I don't know where I would be if I couldn't do this work.
Right.
So,
Such an amazing woman. You turned your accident into something amazing for others. I'm really gonna cry right now.
Well, you're gonna get me going, so don't do
that.
that.
Let's not get both you women crying, because then I will lose it.
I'm gonna
And I'm the stoic one here, so.
Yeah. You had asked me for, I think, Tom, you had asked me for, and I'm not trying to run the interview. I sort of am. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's good.
I love this topic and I love to talk on it. But you had asked me for some specific, things that veterans really need to know.
Yes.
Actually, really, some of these things are true for anybody, not just veterans. So I kind of wanted to give you some of those.
Sure.
One, I already mentioned that you can go back to work. So, that's on the horizon somewhere, if that's what you want to do. 2, mindset really matters. And this is super important for veterans, also for first responders. Okay. You guys have a similar mindset, and that mindset is, in order to do your job, you must suck it up and drive on, right? You cannot let on, if you have mental health issues, you have physical issues, you can't let your command know that. You have to, and in order to do the job, you just have to do that. The problem with that when it comes to filing for disability is that you will give a very false impression of what's going on with you, right? They will think that you are way better than you are, because all of us who have disabilities, so all three of us are sitting here with disabilities, right? And if anybody looked at all of us right now, we look fine, right? And I'm sucking it up. I don't know about you guys, but I am. So we can all suck it up from time to time. The problem is we can't sustain that. You know, it's not something that we can do as a regular job, 8 hours a day or 5 days a week or whatever. So mindset really matters. I have to talk to them about mindset.
Yeah, that happened. That happened to me when I had, after I was injured and I got out of the hospital and I was in the process of retiring. I tried to go back to work. I tried to go back to work for 3 weeks because that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't do it. And so the city finally, said, you got to retire. And since their retirement was run through the state, when I went to there, they said denied because you went back to work, obviously where there wasn't a problem. And the lawyers had to work it out because I had the mindset, no, I'm still supposed to work. I'm still supposed to do my job, whether I can do it or not. And I was my own worst enemy.
Yep, me too. I can
You
so
weren't
relate
rewarded.
to that. All of my doctors were like, do not go back to work. You need to file for disability. And I'm stubborn. So
I was stubborn
but I like
too.
to think of that as determined.
So, I call it Midwestern attitude.
So mindset matters, right?
Yes.
Also, along those lines, I think it's really important, particularly for veterans and first responders. Filing for this benefit does not mean that you're giving up. Very often they think that's what it means. Okay, that means I just give up and I'm just going to be, somebody sitting in my house for the rest of my life. Absolutely not. That's not what it means. It absolutely can mean that you're just going to do a reset. You need a little R&R and you're going to do a reset down the line. I think I alluded to this before. The rules are different. It's not automatic. I've had many veterans say to me, well, I'm completely disabled at the VA. I have a doctor that says I'm completely disabled, yet Social Security is denying me. And I have to explain to them that's because the doctor at the VA is not applying the same rules as the person, making the decision over at the state in this case, but for Social Security.
Okay, Lisa, we're coming up on a hard break here, so we only got we're coming up on a hard break and the computer.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead. That
So,
was 4. That's good.
Well, what he's trying to say is we'd like to know where people can reach you and find out about your program.
Okay. So I am building my website, which is not quite yet live, but it will be really soon. And that is SSDIinsidersecrets.com. So that's the website. It should go live within the next couple of weeks. They can reach me on Facebook. I have a business Facebook page, Side by Side Solutions, LLC. They can email me at sidebysidesolutions.llc@gmail.com, or they could call me at 888-882-2855. I'll be honest, I prefer email at this point until my website gets up and running.
Okay.
It's just easier because people like to tell me their stories and then it's all right there for me. So
absolutely.
That works.
Well, Lisa, I wanted to thank you before the computer cuts us off here. I'm really glad you could come on and talk to us today, and what valuable information that you have and for help our vets and first responders. So I just wanted to thank you, Lisa Hiering from Side by Side Solutions in Jacksonville, Florida, for being on with us today with Take It Back with Tommy and Tina here at the Attorney King Studios in Coronado, California. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.